Hey everyone, welcome to the Intelligent Conversations podcast, where we believe everyone has a form of intelligence that resides within them. Our goal is to encourage these type of conversations for our audience to listen to. Without further ado, welcome to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Intelligent Conversations podcast. Today I have the honor to speak with Brian Winch. He's currently the owner of Clean Lots, which is a litter removal service for parking lots. He started back in 1981 when it was just a side gig and has since grown it to a six-figure business. He is also the author of the book that describes how you can grow that side gig to a six-figure business. So Brian, thank you for coming on. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say today and just learn more about you. But I think everyone is just as interested as I am right now. How did you come up with this business idea to remove litter from parking lots?
Actually, it was my dad's side gig way back in the 70s. He was a janitor for his full-time job. And so he would supplement the family income by doing extra odd jobs like clearing snow, cutting grass, but also cleaning up litter from a nearby shopping plaza, not too far away from our house at the time. And he had taken me along with him a couple times when I was probably 12 or 14 years of age. And I remember how easy it was to do. We would just walk around the property and sweep up any litter material, like, tossed coffee cups, cigarette butts, fast food wrappers into our collections tool. And pretty much the time it took us to walk the property, we were done. We'd go home, I'd go to school, he went to work. And so, several years later, when I was 21, and I was working a full-time job at a sporting goods company, I just decided I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And when I say that, I mean, working for somebody else. But, to be honest, I didn't have a lot going for me at the time because I barely graduated high school. I didn't go to college, didn't have a lot of money in the bank. And not a lot of skills, obviously. So so when I was looking for what could I do with the rest of my life, what would I like to do? And I started doing an inventory, if you will, like what do I like to do, what don't I like to do? And I decided I really enjoy working outside, and providing a simple service is oftentimes the easiest way to, or quickest way to start a business. And the saying is, people are not pigs, but people trash parking lots, people make messes, and you know what? A lot of times they don't want to clean up after themselves. They'll hire somebody to do it. So I decided to test the market, for that service. And there was no internet back then. The internet of the day was the big fat Yellow Pages telephone directory. So I let my fingers do the walking, is what the saying was back then. And I went through property management, lists of property managers under the property management categories in the phone book. And I started cold calling. And about 3 or 4 in, a prospect said, yep, here's the addresses, go out and give me some quotes. And that was our first client, and it all scaled, it all grew from there. The learning curve started for me.
That's so cool. And as you were talking about it, it reminded me, I feel like I'm actually kind of in that position as well. So I graduated high school back in 2021, so June. It's almost been a year. That's crazy. But I got out, and same thing. I was like, I don't really know exactly what I want to do, but I know for sure I want to start a business, and college tuition's too expensive for me. And that's something I don't want to do. And I looked at things, and I remember I talked with a guy, and he's like, well, window cleaning, there's not too many people that do that. And I was like, that doesn't sound too bad. So I started a window cleaning business, and here I am a year later, and I'm like, this isn't that bad of an idea. I can see how I can scale this pretty quickly. So yeah, I kind of interested. I mean, granted, I might have the internet as an advantage. Cold calling seems a little daunting to me, but it's no big deal, right? But
yeah, no, it isn't. And I'm an introvert. So, I'm not a natural born salesman. I'm not somebody who likes to talk. There's a lot of people have the perception that, if you're going to be a salesperson, you have to, be an extrovert, if you will.
Yeah.
But, you as a business owner, you learn you have to do certain things, and you find the motivation to do them in order to, to grow your business. And really, what I'm not trying to sell anything to these people when I pick up the phone and call a prospect. All I'm trying to do is obtain the contact information so I can build my own prospect list, and then I can either send them material by email, or I can mail postcards, whatever I want to do. But I've got that valuable contact information, and then when I get to the point where I'm reaching out to them. Again, I'm not selling them anything. What I'm really doing is explaining the benefits, how my service can benefit them,
Mhm.
and it's worked really well for me, for over 40 years now.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was talking with a guy yesterday. He was saying the most important thing when it comes to, gaining prospects and all of that, it's you have to ask questions and see, hey, what are your needs? What do you want? Right? Like, is this a problem for you guys? I mean, I could help you out if you need, right? And then that's where you start transitioning to salesman mode, if you will. And
Yeah.
that's where you start getting bigger clients, and it just snowball effect from there. So I want to ask you this. I know the answers, but I want the audience to kind of get your perspective on this. How uncomfortable was it to just start a business, and did you still work full time somewhere else, or did you
Yeah.
just say, you know what, let's go for it?
Well, no, I was working a full-time job, and I had to, because I didn't have a lot of money, to start a business and support myself. So I was working full-time, and I started my side gig on the side, and I started with 3 properties, and I built it from there, and I had a pretty steep learning curve, because I didn't have a background in marketing or sales or
Hmm.
business or anything like that. So I had to learn from doing, like, how to start a business, the steps to open up a bank account, legal structure for your business,
Yeah.
etc. And then marketing. And a lot of that material back then, you could get from the library or bookshelves, or, newsstands. Nowadays, it's readily available on the internet. So it's
Hmm.
that much easier, I guess, to start. But, you just, you learn from doing, and you make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, but you have to learn from them. And what did I do wrong there? And then just move on.
Yeah. So like you mentioned mistakes, I think the biggest thing, especially I've seen a lot of kids as they're, exploring, seeing what they want to do with their life. How would you say, like, they come over that fear of failure? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. What would be your suggestion there?
Well, a lot of people, I find, um, don't take that first step. They,
Mm.
maybe come up with a plan, and they procrastinate, and they say, oh, you know what, I was going to do this today, but I'm not up for it. They try to rationalize in their mind, this isn't a good day, and I'll do it tomorrow, and they put it off. But I find that you just need to jump into it, come up with a plan, and something that is workable. And you don't want to say, today I'm going to put 6 hours in doing this, and it's got to be this, and these are the results I need. Just one simple step at a time, and build from there. And you're going to get a lot of no's. Okay, no, I'm not
Mhm.
interested, or no, right, whatever. But even if they say, well, just send us more information, I mean, that's great. And so, like I have a saying, you've got the 3 P's. You've got to be passionate for what you're doing, and be patient, and be persistent. And the key is, maybe the first one, being passionate. And maybe you don't really have to love, absolutely love what you're doing, but you have to at least like it, and feel satisfaction for what you're doing and the service you're providing. Because if you have that going for you, if you're going to run into the bad days, or you don't feel like doing much, you're going to remind yourself, well, I just want to share this. I want to share my information, my service, with other people. And with that attitude, if you have the right attitude, and you follow through, you will become successful. But it's a step by step. It doesn't happen overnight.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it does not happen overnight. As much as I think that's one of the cons I would say of the internet, social media, all of that is you just see instant successes, right? Like you're just like, oh my goodness, like how did they do it in that time? Like you're just blown away, right? And I'm like, it's almost better to take that step back and like look and say, you've actually done quite a bit. Like that was something I did back in like towards the end of the year, December. I was like, did I really do anything? I feel like I didn't do anything. And then as I'm looking, I'm like, holy crap, I feel like I've lived like 10 lifetimes. It's something crazy, right? I was just blown away. I could not like even process that. I'm like, you actually have come a long way. And the thing is we're so stuck in like, I think the present sometimes, as much as you want to be in that present moment, sometimes you need to look back and say, yo, like I've done some pretty cool things and I've worked towards this. And again, it's that first step that I think is just so critical. But this is something I always like to ask people, and that's action, right? Like you have to be able to act. I mean, it's one thing to say it and say, all right, this is what I'm going to do to be my first step. What actually like motivates you to take that first step and to act?
Well, what the realization that nothing will happen if you don't take that first step, if you don't act. I mean, if you do nothing, you get nothing. So, like you hear a lot of celebrities, whether they're actors or athletes, hockey players, whatever. You often hear them say, well, you know what, just before they go on stage, or just before they go out on the field, they've got the butterflies, they've got the stage fright, and so everyone has those feelings. But once they start playing or they start acting or whatever, they performing, the butterflies go away. So it's the same thing if you decide, okay, I'm this is what I'm going to do today. Whatever it may be. You just have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to get started. And then once you start taking those steps and you start moving along, it just flows from there. And it's that much easier to continue, doing what you're doing.
So it's almost like being nervous, being scared is almost a normal thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a completely normal to feel
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And, you made a good point earlier about, a lot of people, they want success now. And you hear these stories about overnight successes. And then you dig a little bit deeper and you find that those overnight successes, it wasn't overnight.
No.
They put years into it. And it doesn't matter, matter if you're a rock band. I mean, those bands started out from the very bottom as a garage band and then a bar band. And then, they paid their dues, and then they're discovered and people find out about them and they think, oh, overnight sensation. And that's part of the media. They like to sell that. Oh, this band is an overnight success or whatever the case is, but it doesn't come unless you put in a lot of work and that in the experience.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The overnight success thing, especially. And something I like to think, maybe I'm wrong, but something that I like to think on that is that most of the time you have to work hard, right? Those 5, 6, 7, 10 years, right? In order to create that opportunity for you to become an overnight success, right? Because there's certain opportunities that are presented to you. And if you didn't work to get to that point, then it wouldn't even be like a question of whether you would be there or not, right?
Yeah.
So I think especially those celebrity stories and stuff, they always have this, oh yeah, I was working like insane hours and then I just came home one day and then a call on the phone came and it just changed my life. I'm like, well, why'd they even call you in the first place, right? Like you had to create that opportunity for you to get that phone call in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what, and a lot of people say, oh, he was lucky, or, it's luck. And I don't buy that, because you make your luck. You have to be in place to obtain that luck, and it all comes from what you've done and what you've set up previously to get to that point, and to be, called lucky.
Yeah, that's there's something that a lot of people have been telling that I've been hearing a lot. It's like 60% of success is consistency, like showing up every day, being consistent. And then 30% of it is just sheer knowledge, right? Like knowledge that you've gained over experience that you've gained over time. Then the 10% is luck. And I'm like, well, the luck part, I have to disagree with a little bit, just because I think you create that luck. Like you said, you have to create that luck as time goes on.
Yeah.
But I mentioned consistency there. How important do you think that is? I think I know where this is heading.
Well, you got to keep plugging away until you achieve your goals. So, in my case, when I started out, I wanted to get, one building, one client, start from there, because I realized I had a lot to learn, like what tools I should use or that would work best for my service, what's the best time of day to service a property, etc. So basically, you just have to keep plugging away with that goal in mind, and the goals, they can't be way up, that you're never going to reach. They have to be very simple and manageable goals to achieve. And so, when I tell other people that, I help start a business similar to mine, to focus on getting that one client, and just start, with these simple steps, and it builds from there. And then once you get that client, you're going to learn a lot. They're going to learn about your service, and if they like what you're doing, they're going to send more work your way. And then, you get referrals, and word gets around, etc. And it all continues to grow and build from what, the seed that you planted. But you got to take that step to plant that seed, as opposed to just thinking about it. One of these days I'm going to do this, or one of these days I'm going to do that. And so, like I say, you're going to have good days and bad days. But at the end of every day, it's good to just think, okay, what did I accomplish today, and build on that. And if, like I say, some days you're not going to have good ones. Well, at the end of the day, it's over. And then, move on the following day. And if you keep plugging away at it, and if you're persistent and you're patient, you will be successful. And you've probably heard the same stats too. A lot of people that start businesses, and especially the ones that are chasing the dollars, that they buy these scams where they actually want to believe they can make $10,000 a day working only 20 minutes a day in the pajamas. Maybe the people selling those schemes or scams are making that kind of income and that money. Yeah. But you know what? You've got to be realistic, and you've got to put the work in, and find something that you enjoy doing, and just keep plugging away and build upon those successes, however small they are. And I've been in this business, the same business for 41 years now. So it does come easier based on what all the groundwork I've put into my business. I've got a lot of testimonials. I've got a lot of happy clients with, good reviews. And, I've built, all of these things in my business, etc. And the only way someone is going to get to that same point is when you start out, and you just keep building. It doesn't happen overnight.
Oh yeah. It's success doesn't happen overnight. And I like that you mentioned the goal setting there, and how to not set realistic goals. I think that's important. So I want to ask you this. What would be your goal setting strategy for, let's say, someone that has no clue? They know what they want, but let's say, what would be your way to help them set goals so then it's actually manageable and they can achieve it?
Well, you need to be motivated. So like the one thing about being in business for yourself, you have to be self-motivated. So you have to decide right from the onset, do you have that personality? Can you work for yourself? If you want to work for yourself, whatever it is, you have to be self-motivated in order to do these things, as opposed to, relying on somebody else to do it for you. And then so find something, maybe it's a hobby that you enjoy doing, or somebody has told you, what, you'd be really good this or that. And find something that you enjoy doing, and then look to see how you can monetize that, whether it's a book or whatever. And then do some research as to how you can do that. And like I say, these days with the internet, it's easier than ever and quicker than ever to find the resources you need, and then put together a plan as to how you're going to begin and start that. And it just, step by step. And I tell a lot of people the best way to do this is on the side, as a side hustle or side gig. And then you're not under, a lot of financial stress to come up with the money, and a lot of people, and there's no need, quite frankly, to go out and get a massive loan unless you're starting a bricks and mortar type of business where it's a retail store or a restaurant. But if you're offering a service, there's no reason why you can't base that business from your home, or like a lot of online, if you're marketing products too, digital products, you can do that from home. But start small, and with a plan. And then at some point, like with me, I was only doing this, my service as a side hustle, for about 3 to 4 months before I was making more money on the side than I was from my full-time job. And so it was easy when I got to that point to decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to quit my full-time job and devote all of my energies to my business.
Oh yeah, that right there, it's from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? It's where you take that passive income from your side hustle, and eventually it beats out where you're originally working your 9 to 5, and you're like, I could quit this because I'm making enough from the business. And eventually you get to a point that it's making even like double or 10 times more than what you would see. That, I mean, you said that you grew it to a 6-figure business. That's incredible. Like, that's something that not too many people get to hear. So,
well, and again, it didn't happen overnight. When I started out, I was quite content just to work for myself without employees, and keep it really simple. I didn't want the headaches of having people work for me. And I did that for 4 years. And I was doing over $100,000 a year. And this was back in the 80s, early 80s. And so, but then my clients, they wanted more of me. And there's only so much of me to go around. I can't be everywhere at the same time. So then I came to the realization that I can get people, and good people, and I didn't have to be afraid of someone stealing my business or not showing up. I mean, there's obviously easy ways to weed those prospects out, but I reached back into maybe some of my friends or some of my coworkers, or there's always people that are motivated to do something similar, but maybe not necessarily start the business themselves. They just want to make the money, do the service, but they have no intention of stealing your idea. And I've had a lot of the same people working for me for 20, 30 years. And out of that whole time, there was a couple of bad apples, but the signs show up pretty quickly, and you just weed them out, and then you move on.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that you recognize and you pointed out that you're like, all right, there's only so much of me, right? And I've started to see some of this too. And thank goodness we have the internet, right? Where I can outsource to other people to do things, right? That live in completely different countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this podcast, I outsource some of the jobs in order to bring it together, because I'm like, I just don't have the time to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that you mentioned that. Then you realize that, and again, you have to weed through the bad apples. And eventually you'll find those good people that will just do exactly what you want, and you're like, this is great. Like, it's mutually beneficial. So something that keeps coming up, and I want to drop this as the intelligent question of the day, is motivation. So I want to ask you, I know this might be a tricky question to answer, but the intelligent question of the day is, how do you find motivation within yourself?
Well, I guess I was born to be self-motivated. Again, it just comes back that if I don't do it, who's going to do it? It won't get done unless you do it. And whatever the result may be, you've done your attempt, you've made your best effort. It's either successful or it isn't, and you learn from it. And, I'm not saying, you should do everything. In some cases, you might find out, you don't particularly like doing a certain task. Well, maybe you can farm it out, you get somebody else to do it for you or whatever. But at the end of the day, you just learn that, if you're in business for yourself, it all comes down to you. And you have to have that self motivation rather than just motivate. A lot of people say motivation, you got to be motivated, but if you want to do great things, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, you have to have that self motivation. and I guess for everyone, it's a little bit different. It's hard to explain, what makes you self-motivated, what makes me self-motivated. At the end of the day, it's a little bit different for everyone, but it just being able to find and reach deep down and, find the reason to do what you want to do.
Everyone that's listening right now, that is the intelligent answer of the day right there. That was awesome. And I kind of want to add on to that. And I think, yes, you're right. You have to find that motivation within yourself, and it's unique to everyone, right? Like you said, it's passion, patience, and what was the third one?
Persistence.
Persistence. I knew it. I was going to say perseverance, but I was like, I don't think that's it.
Yeah, well, it's pretty close.
But yeah, so anyway, back to the passion. I was like, that right there, I think, is really what it comes down to, right? You have to really like truly believe in your like heart that even though like this is hard, you have doubts, you're fearing failure, right? Those butterflies are in you, that you have to hope that things are going to get better. You have to hope that you're actually going to get where you need to be. And you just love it so much that there's no such thing as failure. It's only learning for you. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. So we're beginning to look at wrapping up here. Thank you for coming on, but I know that you mentioned, you've been talking about your business and all of that. People want to do business with you, or if they want to, I know you mentioned you had a book. If they want to get a hold of that, what's the best way they can do that? Reach out to you, things like that.
Okay, well, I've written a book based on my experience, starting and operating a simple parking lot litter cleaning business, starting with very little money. It's called Clean Lots, America's Simplest Business. And you can find that on Amazon and all the online bookstores, but also from my website, which is cleanlots.com. And if you go to my website, cleanlots.com, there's a free PDF download. If you want to consider my service opportunity, if you're interested in starting that in your own city, it's a free download, and it asks you those questions. Would you like to do this, and et cetera, et cetera. And then also, if you want to really see the service that I provide on my website as well, there's a 3-minute video that shows me walking a property and cleaning up the litter material, and you can see it really is almost as easy to do as going for a walk.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So everyone that is listening, I'm talking to you guys in the audience now. Be sure to go check that out. I think I will definitely be going to check out that. I want to see how easy that is. If it is just a walk in the park, I'm sure it is. And I thank you, Brian, for coming on. I really enjoyed having you on, what you had to share. So just thank you overall, man, for coming on. Thank you, Brian, for sharing your thoughts and sharing your valuable insights with us today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks, Josh.
All right, everyone. As you can tell, that is Brian Winch. As you can tell, he's a very intelligent person, has great things to say. And I would challenge you guys again to go check out his website and download that PDF, so then you can learn how to start a business similar to that. But stay tuned till next week. We have a great guest lined up for that week as well. See you guys next week, and let's get after it. Hey everyone, if you liked this episode and would like to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button. We release a new episode every Wednesday for you guys to listen to. Thank you guys so much for the support that you give. We could not have done this without you guys. If you would like to be a potential guest on the show, check out intelligentconvos.com, and there should be a form there for you guys to fill out. Thank you guys again, and let's get after it.